All right, let's jump right into this explainer. For the longest time, we've treated aging like this: inevitable, depressing downward spiral, right? Well, science is actually painting a completely different picture. We're tossing out that old narrative today. We're looking at adulthood for what it really is: a totally dynamic, continuous journey of holistic growth.
So ask yourself this: do we honestly just stop developing the second we turn legal age? Sure, the law says you're a fully formed adult at 18 or 21, but human development? It's definitely not a switch you just flip off after high school. Adulthood is this incredibly complex phase where our biology, our psychology, and our social lives are constantly colliding and evolving.
To see exactly how we keep evolving, here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The myth of static adulthood, 2. Stages of the adult mind, 3. Physical and cognitive realities, 4. The wheel of health, 5. Relationships and social connection, and finally, 6. Optimizing your adult journey.
Okay, let's kick things off with part 1, the myth of static adulthood, breaking the plaster hypothesis. So psychologists used to toss around this thing called the plaster hypothesis. Basically the idea that your personality hardens like plaster by the time you hit 30, but that's completely false. To see why, we have to distinguish between rank order change, which is how you shift compared to your friends, and mean level change, which is the absolute shift in you over time. When we look at the big 5 personality traits, we see that as we age, things like warmth, self-control, and emotional stability actually go up. We literally become more agreeable and confident, especially between our 20s and 40s. So yeah, your identity is never truly locked in place. Moving right along to part 2, stages of the adult mind, continuous evolution. This brings us to the famous psychologist Erik Erikson. He figured out that every single phase of adult life comes with its own unique challenge, a kind of crisis we have to conquer to stay balanced. In early adulthood, we're wrestling with intimacy versus isolation, figuring out how to be vulnerable enough to build real relationships. Then middle adulthood hits, and it's generativity versus stagnation. That's all about contributing to society, your career, your family, basically avoiding the classic midlife crisis. And eventually, in late adulthood, it's integrity versus despair. That's when we look back on our lives hoping to find a sense of peace and meaning, rather than regret.
And you know, it's not just our emotional lives that evolve, our actual intelligence does too. We essentially operate with 2 main types of intelligence. You've got fluid intelligence, that's your snappy, flexible, abstract problem solving, and sure, that does slowly dial back a bit as we get older. But here's the cool part. Your crystallized intelligence, which is all the real-world knowledge and skills you soak up from life, that actually keeps growing and stays rock solid well into your later years. You are quite literally getting wiser.
All right, shifting gears to part 3, physical and cognitive realities, the biology of aging. Now, while our minds are leveling up in wisdom, we've got to be real about what's happening to the physical machine. The absolutely critical thing here is separating normal aging from actual disease. Normative changes, that's stuff we all face. Think sarcopenia, which is just the natural loss of muscle mass, or struggling to hear really high pitches or read tiny print. Totally normal. Non-normative illnesses, on the other hand, are things like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Those are actual diseases requiring medical intervention. Knowing the difference here is huge because it shows us exactly what's at stake and, more importantly, where we actually have the power to intervene.
Which leads us perfectly into part 4, the wheel of health, a holistic toolkit. Before we talk tools, we need to talk about my absolute favorite concept: neuroplasticity and adult neurogenesis. This is the hard, scientific proof that your brain is constantly rewiring itself. It's churning out thousands of brand new neurons in the hippocampus every single day, no matter your age. And the absolute best part? You are the one driving this. Your diet, how much you move, how you handle stress, these lifestyle choices physically rewire your brain's trajectory.
To actually manage all those choices, we can use the Duke University Wheel of Health. They break health down into this holistic 6-part system. We're talking proper nutrition, emotional balance, having a real sense of purpose, getting enough movement, restorative sleep, and living in a safe environment. It's like a giant puzzle. If just one of those pieces is out of whack, your entire well-being takes a hit. Basically, your health is only ever as strong as its weakest link.
So, let's look at a super quick example of optimizing just one of those links, your sleep. You absolutely need those 7 to 9 hours for your body and brain to do their repair work. How do we get there? Set a rock-solid nighttime routine. Ditch the screens before bed. Keep your room cold and dark like a cave. And here's a pro tip. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're just tossing and turning for 20 minutes, get out of bed. Go read in another room. Seriously, don't just lay there staring at the ceiling.
You have to train your brain to know that the bed is strictly for sleeping.
All right, moving on to part 5, relationships and social connection, the surrounding community.
Now, surrounding that whole wheel of health is our community. Why? Because human beings are literally hardwired for connection. We don't exist in a vacuum. You've probably noticed that in your 20s, your social circle is massive, but as the years go by, the total headcount of friends tends to drop. Here's the thing, though. Aging successfully isn't a popularity contest. The research proves that it's the emotional closeness and the pure quality of those remaining bonds that deepen and last longer. Having that profound, tight-knit support system is absolutely crucial for your emotional health and even your brain function as you get older.
And that brings us to our final section, part 6, optimizing your adult journey, the action plan.
Okay, let's tie this whole thing together. I want you to think of your body like a high-end car. I mean, if you run out of gas, or the battery dies, or you just put black tape over a flashing check engine light, you wouldn't expect it to run perfectly, would you? Human health is the exact same deal. You cannot ignore the check engine lights of chronic stress, junk food, or loneliness, and just expect everything to hum along nicely. You need consistent physical, emotional, and social maintenance.
So what's the actual maintenance plan? It's about preventative optimization. Building specific daily habits literally reshapes your physical resilience. Aim for 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week, and please, make sure to throw in some progressive resistance training. We know for a fact it fights off that normal muscle loss and supercharges your brain. Fuel up with a fiber-rich, plant-heavy diet. Keep that beautiful brain of yours sweating with mental workouts. Do a crossword, learn a new spatial task. And maybe most importantly, choose optimism and stay active in your community. That's the secret sauce for expanding not just how long you live, but how well you live.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to let this incredible quote from Maya Angelou sink in. Nothing will work unless you do. It really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's just this powerful reminder that aging well and optimizing your health isn't something that just happens to you. It's a deliberate, active choice. It's the work we have to put in and day out. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to chew on. Take a hard look at your own life today. Thinking back to that wheel of health we talked about, what is your weakest link right now? And more importantly, what is one small, incredibly simple step you are going to take today to start fixing it? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. And hey, here's to making the rest of your dynamic journey an amazing one.